and welcome back to another episode of Diablo to D&D. My name is David, and today we're going to be going over the new abilities for 4 classes. So, 2 weeks ago, it was a kind of a shotgun approach of just, I'm going to hit this class and this class and this class and just shove new abilities into the slots that we're missing. In this one, same thing's happening. For a lot of the classes, they were missing their level 18 ability. And this is just what I've done for the Amazon, the Assassin, the Barbarian, and the Necromancer. So let's jump right in. So the Amazon has had a couple changes to it. Instead of a level 18 ability, it is now a level 20 ability. Valkyrie got moved from the 20th level to the 18th level. And the 20th level is now Goddess's Chosen. At 20th level, the goddess has deemed you worthy to receive her blessing. As a bonus action, each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you makes a DC 20 Constitution saving throw. On a fail, the creature takes 2d8 radiant damage and is blinded for 1 minute, or half as much damage and is not blinded on a success. The creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. For 1 minute, your weapon attacks deal an additional 1d8 radiant damage, and you shed bright light for 30 feet and dim light for an additional 30 feet. Creatures within the bright light have disadvantage on saving throws against your Amazon abilities. You can use this ability once per long rest. So what goes into this is a little bit of kind of everything, both mechanics and the flavor. So the goddess that this is referring to is the goddess that the Amazons worship. I am not putting the name in here because I don't want to deal with copyright issues. So that can cause a bit of a flavor thing because, or like, who's the goddess? Ooh, I don't know. It's not exactly a cleric. But I'll maybe work something out. I have no idea, but I'm going to leave it as Goddess's Chosen for right now. The reason why it is radiant damage is because the goddess could bless someone to become a Valkyrie. So the idea is at 18th level, you are worthy enough to be assisted by a Valkyrie. And then at level 20, you become a Valkyrie. Kind of, quote unquote, kind of. The reason for why it is radiant damage, your weapon attacks dealing additional radiant damage, is again because of the blessing. But that last part, creatures within the bright light have disadvantage on saving throws against your Amazon abilities, is so that your bow is on with their, I think it's multi-shot, can actually do the ability. It's also kind of as a way to show, it's the holy presence that is inflicting debilitating effects on the enemies. It is yet another combat ability, and that kind of makes me sad. I wanted to get a little bit more utility out of the Amazon, but it's also a level 20 ability, and utility is a bit far in this time at this point. So I don't hate it. It kind of reminds me of, I believe it's Mavinda's Chosen, the Amazon set. You get this bright glow around you. It's not specific to Mavinda's Chosen, because the Barbarian and the Paladin also have it, because the Necromancer, and the Druid, I think, because I think the Necromancer turns into the Vampire. The Assassin turns into, or like goes ghostly, see-through. And who else was there? I can't remember. I think it still looks good, and I think it fits. So let's jump into the next one. This is the Assassin. Now, the Assassin does have a bit more utility because they have that burst of speed. They do have Fade as well. So for their 18th level ability, I decided to go for fast movement. At 18th level, whenever you take the dash, disengage, or hide actions, you can take another one of those actions as a part of the same action. In addition, you can take an additional action on your turn. You can use that action only to take the dash, disengage, or hide action. You can use this ability 3 times per short or long rest. So what this is intended to do is give you your bonus action back. This is a way so that you can be that dual-wielding striker. You rush in, you make your attacks, you make your offhand attack as well, and then use your mini action surge to disengage, which gives you dash so that you can get out of dodge. Also, potentially taking the hide action allows you to dash and move away, and disengage. Disengage and hide is a little weird. I want to find some wording that will allow you to dash, move, and then hide, or disengage, move, and then hide. But I don't know. I do know that the Shadow Assassin is going to be very excited for this because eventually they get greater invisibility, which means that they can attack and then disengage. Well, they're invisible, so they wouldn't need to anyway. They can hide and then dash and move around the battlefield with not as much of a problem. I had considered allowing an offhand attack for that additional action, but I figured that they already had enough damage on the top level. In fact, if you notice, Venom and Blade Shield got nerfed. So, meh. But yeah, I wanted to kind of emphasize that this assassin is a striker, that they are intending to be a rush in, do your stuff, and then get out. So, fast movement. Also, this does mean that you can dash 1 to 3 times in a turn on top of your regular movement. So it's really, really, really fast sometimes. The Barbarian picks up Child of the Ancients. So I wanted to call this the Children of Bolcathos, or Child of Bolcathos, but again, copyright issues. So I'm going with Child of the Ancients. At 18th level, your blood calls on the power of your great ancestors to overwhelm your opponents. When a creature hits you with an attack, as a reaction, you can make a weapon attack against that creature. If you hit, choose 1. The creature takes an additional 1d8 damage. You have advantage on the next weapon attack you make against that creature before the end of your next turn, or the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you until the end of your next turn. So, by far, the Barbarian was one of the hardest ones to come up with, because there was so much stuff that I could do. I initially wanted to lean into their Battlefield Commander class features, but then I was like, wait a second, there's not a lot of combat abilities here, so why don't I make a combat, or what is traditionally a Barbarian combat ability? So I gave you Child of the Ancients. You can smack somebody back as a reaction. You take a hit, you deal a hit. And here's a little bit of extra damage in case you just need to finish it off just a little bit. You need that little bit just to finish it off. The advantage is kind of the sustain damage in case you're fighting something that has a fairly high AC. And then the disadvantage is just a nice defensive option against multiple attacks. To note, this does allow you to make ranged attacks so that the throw Barbarian isn't left behind. So anytime a creature hits you with an attack, doesn't matter if it's a ranged attack, melee attack, spell attack, or weapon attack, it's just get hit with an attack, you can smack back against that creature. So, hooray. I did have to figure out how to include the throw Barbarian in there, because I knew it was going to be a bit of a sticking point. But I think I got it all put together pretty well. Lastly is the Necromancer. This is the one that I started on. I wanted to do something that was death themed, because if you look at the abilities, they're not really a ton of Necromancer abilities. Like the Golem is cool, you get the bone armor, you get the curses, but it's more like you're a Golem caster, not a Necromancer in the traditional sense of what a Necromancer is. So I gave you Master of Undeath. At 18th level, exploring crypts and channeling necrotic energy have permanently changed you. You gain dark vision out to 120 feet, immunity to necrotic damage, and you have advantage on death saving throws. Also, while you have 0 hit points, you do not fall unconscious, but you continue to make death saving throws unless you are stable and suffer the normal effects of taking damage at 0 hit points. If you cast any spell other than a cantrip while at 0 hit points, you fail 1 death saving throw and continue to make death saving throws as normal. So this one underwent a lot of tweaks, and I'm still not fully settled on it. The level of the spell changed, whether or not you have advantage on death saving throws changed, whether or not you get that failed death saving throw at all. That one was kind of a later addition, but this is definitely something that kind of feels like you're a necromancer, like the necromantic energies that you're using to raise the dead have slowly crept into your own body. Fun fact, the dark vision actually comes from the ability Night Eyes that the Necromancer had in The Awakening, way back in the first iteration of this adaptation. Not this adaptation, but the original crossover. Night Eyes was kind of this, well, it said like infrared vision, and it didn't allow you to see in complete darkness. So it was more like low light vision, which got removed, I think, from, it was either 3rd or 4th edition where low light vision got removed. But still, like, you're a necromancer, you can see in the dark because you spent so much time down there. That's what I was going for. And that is it. These are the last 4 abilities in the main classes that needed to be created. The only things that I have left are, besides balancing, are the Singer, Barbarian's 3rd, 6th, and 10th level features, and then I'm done. I might do the Singer in 2 weeks. And then for the rest of it is just polishing and balancing and tweaking. The Paladin is nearly done. I mean, the only reason why I'm not declaring it done is because there are bits and pieces that I feel like I could, bits of awkwardness that I could shave off and make better. And in fact, in the changelog next week, you'll see that there are a couple of changes to the to Holy Bolt, Fist of the Heavens, and a couple of auras, just because I was going through and trying to decide, like, if I wanted to, make any major changes to the Paladin. But that one's done. The Druid is almost done? Question mark. I have Hurricane down marked as a possible tweak. I think the Wind Druid really, really, really needs some love, and I think the Fire Druid as well. So I'm not declaring the Druid anywhere near done, because also I could be changing some of the abilities into spells. In fact, in the 1.0 Creator Fix, there is a whole list of abilities that I could make into spells. And I actually am planning on making a bunch of changes to the Bone Necromancer. I think Bone Wall is going to end up as a spell, and then the Bone Prison ability or sorry, not the bone prison. The bone wall ability is going to give you bone wall with the change that you can make it into a bone prison. Because I don't really want to make bone prison its own spell. Anyway, that's for another video. But yeah, I'm coming up on the 2nd anniversary of the YouTube channel, and I'm really excited because a lot of these just need tweaking. And I mean, you know what? I could with the Barbarian being done, and if I rush a lot of the changes, then I very well could be done and declare the playtest finished on the anniversary. So I think I'm gonna have to jump in there and do some serious thought, do some serious working, and yeah, that's gonna be it's gonna be so satisfying to get that done. I think the biggest changes that I might need to make, other than mechanical changes, are the Amazon subclass progression between 9 and 10, and the Assassin's subclass progression between 6 and 7. It's a fairly minor thing, but I'm not sure if I want to keep it at that 3rd level, 6th level, 10th level, 14th level, or if I want to bump some things around. I mean, the Amazon is gets their subclass at 2nd instead of 3rd, but still, yeah, I'm looking forward to being done with this and setting it aside and jumping into Diablo 3 and bringing that one into the fray. Oh, I forgot. The Assassin has a new subclass potentially. So the history of the Assassins is that they are the Vizjaktar. They are a branch of assassins that are connected to the Viserai, the sorcerers, but they hunt down rogue mages. And so the Assassin might be getting the Mage Hunter subclass. This is specifically anti-spellcaster abilities. So think Mage Slayer as a feat. That's basically what you'd be getting. Maybe resistance to spells, advantage against spells, advantage against concentrating spellcasters. Spellcasters would get disadvantage on concentration checks when you attack them, things like that. This is definitely going to be more of if I end up doing it, this would definitely be more of a flavor creation rather than a mechanical creation. Because, I'm not pulling from the mechanics in Diablo, is what I mean. This would be just kind of this is the history and the story behind what these assassins are actually doing. And this would give another subclass to a class that only has 3. So, makes sense to me. All right, I am going to end it there. You can contact me at XenosFan2, that is XENOZFAN2, on Blue Sky and Reddit. And you can contact the channel directly at Diablo TODND on Blue Sky and YouTube. Thank you much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good whatever.